We know by now for certain that the National Endowment for Democracy and USAID, they have entire programs of fostering NGOs in foreign countries in order to help them to create a kind of a facade of a civic movements that then support US interests abroad. This is now without doubt what happened in Ukraine. This is without doubt what was going on in Georgia. And this then is also supported by other forms of infiltration through the CIA. We know that for certain by now, even for Ukraine, like how since 2014 the CIA was there and was engaged. And of course, with Taiwan being such a pivotal part in the Pacific strategy, there must be ties on several levels. Now, are there any kind of fears that parts of the NGO environment in Taiwan might be benefiting from the same kind of financial flows from the US as for Europe?
Mm-hmm. Um, let's say for this particular recall, there's no evidence of direct US involvement, and that's only reasonable because this doesn't involve regime change. The other cases that you cited oftentimes is using civic group to instigate a regime change, but this one doesn't involve a regime change. So there's no evidence of direct involvement and little suspicion about direct funding. However, there are major operators in Taiwan politics supported and long-term associated with the organizations you talked about. For example, the NED, the Freedom House, or Open Society Foundation. Two of them are most notable. One is Shen Boyang, who is currently a DPP MP legislator. He's an at-large MP, so he didn't go through district election. In fact, he was the second highest nominated, so in the rank. For a young person to hold that rank, people does suspect has something to do with his long-term U.S. relationship. And he's being supported by NED, Freedom House, Open Society Foundation with trackable funding. And in addition to that, he's currently held the Doublethink Lab. And for your audience, they would know what Doublethink Lab is. It's being used in many, many societies. So he has a very strong focal position with the DPP and US link in terms of the so-called value-based democracy movements worldwide. And he does hold key position in this general recall. He spoke out. He was in many rallies, and he was one of the most notable spokesperson for the general recall. And actually, most notable spokesperson accusing KMT of pro-China and selling out Taiwan. The second one, who is very well grounded with lots of evidence, is Tang Feng, Audrey Tang. He is now self-proclaimed as a woman, so he is the DEI darling. Tang Feng was supported by the United States, and therefore he held a Ministry of No Portfolio, and later on he held the position of Minister of Digital Affairs. He set up all the fact-checking, digital monitoring, social media monitoring systems for the government. And the government has spent huge amount of money to wage a online warfare organization. There are actually many online warfare organizations. So both Shen Boyang and Tang Feng, both of these two are major operatives of DPP in the online and digital warfare movements. So if you look at this, even though there may not be direct involvement, but during the last administration, because I think the current administration is a bit different. During the last administration, they have a very strong connection with Taiwan's movements in terms of being a value partner, in terms of supporting its diversity agenda, and so on and so forth. So you can say that there are embedded strategic alignments within the DPP upper echelon and in the legislative yuan that would support the so-called civic groups in waging the local campaigns to recall KMT members.
up to a certain degree, these kind of connections are natural and what you would expect, right? I mean, certain groups just have different value structures and think like we should be closer to the US or we should be closer to other countries, and then they try to rally for that. I mean, to a certain extent, this is normal. Where it becomes abnormal is where decision making is outsourced, and you have places like the U.S. embassy that basically directs certain efforts that then lead to let's say mass demonstrations and of such kind of activities. At least for this recall, we have no indication thereof. You're saying
We have no evidence and indication, not as clear as during the Sunflower Movement. The Sunflower Movement and the Hong Kong movement has clear indication of direct involvement and even with headquarters helping them set up strategies. But I think it's important to note that people like Shen Boyang, who's being supported by those organizations, the US organizations, for a long, long time before they surfaced on the political arena. And even today, while he is holding a political position in the legislative yuan as a legislator, his families are still making money in mainland China when he accused others of being pro-China. So these double standards have been exposed this time and showing perhaps there are other reasons to prompt them to do such a direct and harsh attack on anybody with a China connection.